All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, co-hosted by DOB and ASHRAE New York City. Luke is out today, so I'll be doing the introduction. Today's topic is Session 7, Local Law 88, Lighting and Submetering Requirements, and we'll talk about how to navigate the BEAM reporting portal for compliance with Local Law 88. This webinar should last about an hour, including question and answers at the end. The webinar will be recorded and available for future viewing on both ASHRAE and DOB's websites. Today's presentation is available in the handout section on your control panel of the GoToMeeting and on today's event page. So please open that up. You can follow along and take notes. Join us for our next webinar next Tuesday, March 25th at 11 a.m. That is our next topic after today, and we will be covering Article 320.7 adjustment. This is, in regards to the financial adjustments and external constraints adjustments. Note that all upcoming events are posted to ASHRAE's website. The last slide in this deck will also show you all the events that we've already hosted or already covered and are upcoming. Both ASHRAE and DOB will be sending out email reminders for these events. You can also look in the chat and you can see the events calendar. Just some housekeeping items. All attendees are in listen-only mode. We encourage people to use the chat and ask questions. The DOB team will be answering the questions during the webinar. Hopefully we are covering all of the questions or all of the content to your questions in the webinar. So if you have a question early on, it's a good chance that we'll be covering it later in the webinar. We will have Q&A at the end of the webinar. A lot of slides are covering the Q&A. So just note that. If you have any additional questions, you can send general questions to our ghgemissions@buildings.nyc.gov email address, and all BEAM related questions should be sent to beam_LL97@buildings.nyc.gov. That's also on the last slide of this deck. Note that there is a presentation evaluation survey at the end of the webinar. We encourage all of you to complete the evaluation and provide feedback. It helps DOB staff prepare for future webinars. Next slide, please. So today's presenters will be myself, Emily Hoffman, and my two colleagues who are both senior energy auditors or building emission auditors within our OBEEP unit at DOB. That's Mountain Wenu and Emily Porvin. Next slide, please. Okay, we're going to get started. If you've attended any of our previous webinars, you have seen this timeline. This is the Local Law 97 timeline, but also touches on the laws that are due in 2025. I'm going to just go to the next slide where we've kind of broken down the compliance deadlines by law based on questions that we've gotten. So for Local Law 97 compliance, the report's due May 1st. However, you have a grace period until June 30th. There's a request for extension that must be filed by June 30th, but that will give you until August 29th to comply. That's effectively 6 months you have to comply with 97. Note that if you're filing for Article 321 mediated resolution, that may result in a parallel delayed enforcement for Article 310. Just note that if you're a 321 building, you're not in compliance with that lighting PECM, the work plan submitted in the mediated resolution should say how you would get into compliance, and DOB will consider that for enforcement. Now for Local Law 88 compliance, where the owner is subject to both 97 and 88 in the same year, so you're both due this year in 2025, the fees are combined. There's no separate Local Law 88 filing fee, and you are automatically given that grace period until June 30th. If you do apply for a Local Law 97 extension, you will also be granted that extension for Local Law 88, and that will give you until August 29th to file your report. However, note that if you're subject to local law 88 this year, but not 97, you have the same deadlines. You have the May 1st, you have the grace period until June 30th, but there is no extension opportunity. So the last date to file is June 30th for those 88 applications. And then just touching on benchmarking, local law 84, those reports are due May 1st. There's no extension opportunity. Next slide, please. I'm just going to cover what local law 88 is, give you all a reminder, and then my colleagues will go into the reporting process. So local law 88 was passed in 2009, and it requires covered buildings, building owners of those covered buildings to upgrade their lighting systems to the latest energy code and install sub-meters in those tenant spaces. So owners have had a decade and a half to comply with this law. And it required that their lighting systems be upgraded at any time after July 1st, 2010. So if your lighting was upgraded at any time after July 1st, 2010, and complied with the energy code in effect, you met 88 requirements for lighting. And now you're just attesting to those requirements. If you have not upgraded your lighting yet, you must do that and be in compliance with the latest energy code. That's the 2020 New York City Energy Compliance Code. It applies to covered buildings, which are both residential buildings and commercial buildings. Just note that there are a few exceptions for the lighting. Lighting upgrades are not required within dwelling units themselves. However, note that in residential buildings or multifamily buildings, lighting in corridors, stairwells, any back of house spaces or common spaces, lighting is required to be brought up to code at any time after July 1st, 2010. Also note that there is no lighting upgrade required for lighting systems in a space classified in an occupancy group A3 that is within a house of worship. So that's that assembly space within a house of worship. That does not mean the entire house of worship is exempt, only that space. So house of worship with offices and classrooms, kitchens, things like that, those spaces must be brought up to compliance. And note that these requirements, again, have been in place for 16 years. So we're just coming to the reporting deadline at this point. Next slide, please. Just wanted to cover what a covered building is for local law 88. It is for any building over 25,000 gross square feet. It is 2 or more buildings on the same tax lot that exceed 100,000 gross square feet, or 2 or more condo buildings governed by the same board of managers collectively exceeding 100,000 gross square feet. Note that there is an exemption for garden style apartments. So if your covered building appears, if you appear on the covered buildings list for local 88 and you are a garden style apartment, you should file a CBL dispute with that information in BEAM. On this slide here, we have links to the 88 covered buildings list so you can double check if you are required to comply. Next slide, please. So local law 88 requires both the upgrades of lighting, which I just talked about, and the installation of electrical submeters in covered tenant spaces within a covered building. So covered tenant space is defined in Article 311. It is a tenant space that meets one of the following bullets. It's either larger than 5,000 gross square feet on one or more floors rented to the same person, or it's a floor larger than 5,000 gross square feet consisting of multiple tenant spaces rented to different people. If you meet either of those criteria, then that is a covered tenant space and must be have a submeter or a meter of the electrical consumption for that space. Next slide, please. There are a couple of exceptions to where you do not have to install electric submeters. The first one is that dwelling units are not required to install submeters. And the second is that if you have a covered tenant space and the electrical consumption is already metered directly by the utility, you don't have to do anything else. So we're not requiring that you add an additional submeter there because you're already accounting for that energy usage in that space. And remember, the purpose of this is that to give tenants access to this information. So that would already be met. Next slide, please. Covering the filing requirements. So we covered on an earlier slide the filing deadline, but the filing fee is it's $115 for buildings that are only filing Local Law 88 this year. If buildings are also required to file Local Law 97, there is no additional filing fee. It's already covered in the 97 filing fee. That filing fee, that $115 filing fee, covers both components of Local Law 88, both the lighting component and the submetering component. So you're not paying 115 plus 115, it's just 115 for that filing fee. And then the Beam platform is the reporting portal for Local Law 88 and Local Law 97 as well. This presentation is going to cover exactly how you need to either pay for that filing fee, in DOB Now, and also report your attestations in the Beam platform. Next slide, please. The reporting requirements, both Article 310 and 311 require an attestation of compliance. We have the attestation form on our website. It's the same form used for Article 310 and 311. There's a checkbox on the form for the professional to attest to which article they are attesting to. However, just note that this form needs to be both uploaded for Article 310 compliance and separately for Article 311 compliance. You may have the same professional attesting to both articles, or you may have a different professional attesting to lighting and a different one attesting to submetering. The attestations must be completed by one of the professionals. Again, this is different from our other local laws. So one of the three professionals that are allowed to attest to this are the registered design professional. That's a licensed engineer or a licensed architect in the state of New York, or you can be a licensed master electrician or a licensed special electrician. Next slide, please. Just covering what the penalties are. The penalties for this law are quite low compared to 97 penalties. So the penalty for failure to upgrade your lighting or failure to file is $1,500. And then there's an additional fine for not complying with the submetering requirements, and that's $1,500 annual fine plus an additional $500 for each tenant space without a submeter. I think there's been misconception in the industry that this is a one-time fine, and that is not accurate. This is an annual fine, so this penalty will be accruing until compliance is met. So just keep that in mind. Next slide, please. We want to cover the reporting process. What we're showing on the screen now is if you're filing both 97 and 88 in 2025, you would follow this process. You would go into DOB Now and pay your filing fee. This would be your Local Law 97 filing fee. Local Law 88 is already included in that filing fee. You don't have to separately pay an 88 filing fee. So you go to DOB Now, pay your 97 filing fee, and you also, and this is key, enter 3 email addresses in DOB Now. These will be the only 3 email addresses to initially enter into the Beam platform to view that building that you have paid for. So you can enter the owner's email address, the owner rep's email address, and the service provider's email address. Note that there's only one field for a service provider, so this could either be the Local Law 88 service provider or 97 service provider. Just note that once you get into Beam, you can add additional contact information. You can add the additional service providers. This is just to initially get into the Beam platform. Also note, if the service provider is the same person as the owner's representative, you just need to fill out the owner representative field. You don't need to add the same email address twice. So you fill out DOB Now. This information is transferred nightly into Beam. Then you would go to Energy Star Portfolio Manager, share this property information with New York City's account. The ESPM information would transfer into Beam nightly. And then you would go into Beam, and with one of those 3 email addresses, you can add additional service providers for 88 if necessary. And this is where you would go into Beam, submit your local I-97 report, and also submit your local I-88 report. This presentation will cover how to submit that local I-88 report. Once that's submitted, it goes through the staff review process and all communications will happen in Beam. Next slide, please. This process shown on the screen now is if you are only filing 88 in 2025 and you are not filing local I-97 as well. So in this case, you would, and this is generally for buildings that have what we refer to as a delayed compliance pathway for 97. So they're filing for the first time for 97 in 2027 or 2036. Go into DOB now and you pay the local I-88 filing fee. You enter the 3 email addresses of the owner, owner's rep, and service provider. Just note that in this case, the service provider is it's the 88 service provider. So it's an RDP, licensed master electrician, or licensed special electrician. Again, if the service provider is the same person as the owner's rep, you don't need to enter that information twice. Once you have paid your fee, the data transfers nightly into Beam. Then you go into Beam and you submit your local I-88 report. It comes to the staff for review, and that is the process for only 88 filings. We've been getting a lot of questions on changing email contacts. So there's 2 places where you can do this. If for some reason you went into DOB now and you need to update an owner's email address or an owner's rep email address, you can do that. You just need to contact the DOB Now help desk to do that. However, if those email addresses are, if the owner's accurate and the owner's rep you need to change, you can, or you need to add an additional service provider. Once you're into the Beam platform, you can do that by using Ticket 14, updating your point of contact information. We have a slide on this. We'll show you how to do that. Next slide. And now I'm going to pass it off to Mountain and then Emily to go through the details of how to submit your 88 report.
Thanks, Emily. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's ASHRAE webinar on local law 88 compliance. I'll be walking you through the payment filing process in DOB Now and reporting the requirements in Beam for local law 88 sliding requirements, which is Beam Ticket 11. A quick reminder, the slide deck is available to the right of the webinar control panel, and the recording of this webinar will be made available to the public. Before we begin, let's highlight some critical information about local law 88. If your building is filing for local law 97 in 2025, the local law 88 filing fee is already included in your local law 97 payments. You do not need to pay separately. The local law 88 filing fee data transfers nightly to Beam from DOB Now. Compliance filing cannot be completed in one day, so please ensure you allow enough time. If your local law 88 service provider is different from your local law 97 provider, the building owner or owner's rep must add their email in Beam for access. For buildings that are only filing for local law 88 in 2025 and not local law 97, you need to enter the local law 88 service provider in DOB Now. Excuse me, and that information will transfer to Beam on a nightly basis. I'll touch upon that shortly. So with this overview, let's move forward. Next slide, please. So the first step here covers local law 88 Article 310 and Article 311 filing fees in DOB Now. Next slide, please. So local law 88 filing fees in DOB Now. So you navigate to the DOB Now login page. The hyperlink is right there. You enter your NYC ID email address in the email field and select login. If you need to create an NYC ID account, select create account or use the DOB Now user guide for step-by-step instructions. After logging into DOB Now, the welcome page displays. Pan over DOB Now Safety and click Energy. From the Energy submenu, select local law 97 or local law 88 filing fee payments. Next slide, please. So here's to reiterate, as previously stated over the past webinars and Emily just stated, we've gotten a number of questions over the past webinars. So this is to say that you do not need to pay for local law 88 fee if you're filing local law 97 compliance report in 2025, as this is already included in the local law 97 filing fees. You only pay the local law 88 filing fee if not filing local law 97 compliance report in 2025. Next slide, please. So on the local law 97, on the local law payment dashboard, select local law 88 payments. Understanding which report applies to your building is the first step in ensuring compliance. Next slide, please. Stakeholder role selection. In DOB now, you need to select your role as an owner or owner's representative. The information of the logged in user auto-populates in the selected section. To change the name or address, select Manage or Associate Licenses from the person icon in the top right corner of the screen. This is to the left, or this is to the left of the screen, as you can see. And if you're logged in as an owner's representative, you must enter the owner's NYC ID email, the owner's NYC ID email address to link the filing. Excuse me. Your details will be auto-filled from the DOB Now system. Additionally, to submit a compliance report in BEAM, after paying the filing fees in DOB Now, you must create a BEAM account using one of these emails: the owner, the owner's representative, or the service provider, which is the registered design professional, a licensed master electrician, or licensed special electrician. Remember that only these emails will grant access to your building profile in BEAM. And note that the service provider may also be the owner's rep if they meet the requirements. So if the service provider is the same as the owner's rep, then a third email is not required. Next slide, please. So when entering owner information, select the appropriate owner type. Some buildings qualify for fee exemption, including not-for-profit buildings used exclusively for educational, charitable, and religious purposes. Buildings owned by federal, state, city, or foreign governments. Even if exempt, owners must still complete the filing to obtain the payment confirmation number. The payment confirmation number is very important. I'm going to touch about that shortly. To verify exemption, the New York City Department of Finance must indicate a zero assessed value on the property tax roll. Visit the hyperlink, the Department of Finance's hyperlink, to print proof of exemption and upload the report. Next slide, please. So here's a screenshot from BEAM. Fee exempt buildings must submit ticket 13 in BEAM. So here's ticket 13 is highlighted. It's highlighted right there. And attestation of fee exempt status must be submitted, that which is ticket number 13 with the local law 88 compliance reports, without the required building information contained here. Next slide, please. So in DOB Now, you must confirm whether you are submitting a local law 88 compliance report on the reporting platform BEAM, whether your building is exempt from local law 97 compliance in 2025. So making a reference to the screenshot here, if yes is selected for local law 88 reporting and no for local law 97 reporting in 2025, in the transaction information tab, you're only paying the $115 local law 88 filing fee. In contrast, if yes is selected for both fields, you're only paying the local law 97 filing fee, which already covers the local law 88 filing fee, so you're not required to pay the additional $115. Next slide, please. So in the property information section of DOB Now, you want to enter the borough block and lot number. Click search and add to find your property. And then in the building identification number pop-up showing on the screen, you want to check the correct bins. Next slide, please. Once selected, your property details will appear in a grid format below under the search and add button and can be removed by selecting the trash icon. If selections are changed in the transaction information section after an address has been added, the system will remove the address and it will need to be re-entered. And then you need to confirm that the bin either has a single owner or is a co-op or condo. Next slide, please. So for all other buildings, click Proceed to Pay and follow these steps. Choose credit card or e-check in City Pay. If paying via e-check, payment verification may take up to 10 business days to process. We've had a number of questions asking about this. So just remember that if you're paying via e-check, the payment verification may take up to 10 business days to process. Next slide, please. The payments, a receipt number will appear. Do not use this for BIM. Return to the DOB Now window. For credit card, PayPal, Venmo payments, you will see a notification with a payment confirmation number. This is the number to be submitted in the reporting portal, which is BIM, which will also be emailed to you. For payments by e-check, the status of the transaction will change to pending payment verification. The payment confirmation number will be sent by email when the payment clears, which takes up to 10 business days after it is submitted. So your data will not be logged in BIM until the payment clears and the status on DOB Now no longer says pending and you have a payment confirmation number. Next slide, please. Thank you. So step 2 covers a step-by-step walkthrough of BIM reporting portal. For the next few slides, I'm going to be walking you through the step-by-step process of completing your local law 88's Article 310 lighting compliance report in BIM. So we're going to be covering how we log into BIM and how our new ticket is created, selecting the correct report type, entering property and professional details, uploading all required documentation and confirming your submission, and tracking your report. So each of the steps ensures that your compliance filing is processed correctly and on time. Next slide, please. So once the payments is successfully processed in DOB Now and complete, you go to the BIM page. The hyperlink is shown on the screen. And from the left sidebar, once you get into BIM, you'll navigate to Help Desk. Again, from the left sidebar, you click on New Ticket to the right. Next slide, thank you. So you want to scroll all the way down. Select BIM ticket number 14, which is the BIM account update point of contact. If updating a contact, for example, where the local 88 service provider differs from the local 97 service provider, the email address of the additional local 88 service provider will need to be added by the owner, the owner's rep, or the local 97 service provider in the BIM platform. That is after the owner, the owner's rep, or local 97 service provider have been granted access. Next slide, please. So you want to fill out all the building and contact information. That's information for the property reporting for local 88. You want to update the name and the email of the local 88 service provider, the local 88 service providers, that is the lighting, and submitting professionals. Note that this update happens within the same day. Next slide, please. So submitting Article 310 in BIM. Next slide, please. So from the left sidebar, still in BIM, still in the BIM platform, you want to navigate to the Help Desk. And again, from the left sidebar, click New Ticket. Next slide, please. So navigate back to the New Ticket function and select ticket number 11, which is local 88 article. Local 88 lighting, Article 310 to create a new ticket. A complete A complete ticket 11, which is the local law 88 lighting article 310 ticket, must include all of the following information: the building address, the borough block and lot information, and the building identification number. The confirmation and attestation upload from a registered design professional, a licensed master electrician, or licensed special electrician as applicable, and a DOB now payment confirmation number, which has been brought over from DOB now. Note that buildings filing local law 97 reports in 2025 do not need to pay a separate local law 88 filing fee. Instead, you input the local law 97 payment confirmation number. Next slide, please. Navigate back to the new ticket function and select 11 local law 88 article 310. Next slide, please. You want to enter your submitter email, which must match emails used in DOB now, or those added using BEAM Ticket 14 account or a point of contact. You want to also include the building address as it appears in BEAS, which is, so this is the building address as it appears in BEAS. The 10-digit borough block and lot number without dashes or spaces as it appears on the local law 88 and or local law 97 covered buildings list, and the 7 digits being as it appears on the local law 97 covered buildings list without dashes or spaces. Next slide, please. So for local law 88 compliance reports, an authorized professional must attest the filing. So you have the options based on wherever the professional is. It could be a registered design professional, a licensed master electrician, or a licensed special electrician. You will also need to input the license information in BEAM. Note that there is a lookup function to verify the credentials as applicable. The hyperlinks are embedded in the ticket. Next slide, please. So you want to, before submitting in BEAM, you must upload the Article 310 or Article 311 professional attestation form signed by both the building owner and the verifying professional. The link to the hyperlink to the attestation form is embedded in there. So here is a sample professional attestation form for Article 310 or Article 311 to be signed by both the building owner and verifying professional. So highlighted is the highlighted information shows if the licensed professional is attesting for Article 310 or Article 311, as well as the building owner's information, as well as the verifying professional's information, as well as the license information and the seal and signature. So an important note to to be aware of: if the same professional is attesting for both Article 310 and Article 311 submissions, the same form may be used. Next slide, please. So you want to input the payment confirmation number generated from DOB now. So that's the payment number that was generated in DOB now, which now gets carried over into BEAM. Next slide, please. So we see here that the payment confirmation number carried over from DOB now is here, and if not paying local law 88 fee, you want to enter the local law 97 payment confirmation number that's been carried over from BEAM. And finally, you want to click submit ticket. So this completes ticket number 11. So to summarize this session, local law 88 compliance fees required for lighting Article 310 and submitting Article 311 of covered buildings. If filing local law 97, local law 88 fees are included. You do not need to pay separately. I'm just reiterating. This has been stated over the past webinars. Follow the DOB Now payment filing process to obtain a payment confirmation number. And then you want to complete your filing in BEAM, ensuring that all documents are uploaded. And an important reminder is that only authorized professional, which is a registered design professional, a licensed master electrician, and licensed special electrician can attest to the reports. So this concludes my session for today. Thank you for listening. Please be reminded that the handout is available to the right of the webinar control panel and will be available on the DOB website. I'll now pass it out I'll now pass it on to Emily, my colleague, to cover Order Local Law 88's BIM ticket 12 for submetering. Thank you.
Thanks, Martin. Hi, so I'm going to be covering Article 311, the submetering portion. First, we're going to just review again at a little bit of more detail what Emily was mentioning before about what actual Article 311 is and what's required, and then like Martin walk through the actual ticket itself. All right, so what does Article 311 actually require? It requires that electricity usage in covered tenant spaces, which we'll get back to in the next slide, be submetered if they don't already have dedicated submeters, which means if you have a covered tenant space and it already is being separately metered, you do not need to install an additional submeter. The tenants in those covered spaces must be provided monthly utility statements of their submetered electricity so that they can actually monitor how much they're consuming on a month-to-month basis. And the owner of the covered building in which the covered tenant spaces are housed is required to file a report with the Department of Buildings that is attested by a registered design professional, a licensed master electrician, or a licensed special electrician, confirming that the submeters have been installed. Now, what is a covered tenant space? Also defined in Article 311, a covered tenant space is either a tenant space larger than 5,000 gross square feet on one or more floors of a covered building let or sublet to the same person, or a floor of a covered building larger than 5,000 gross square feet consisting of tenant spaces let or sublet to two or more different persons. Now, there is an exception. It shall not include dwelling units classified in occupancy group R2 or R3. So, like Martin described earlier, you log into BEAM, or once you've paid your Local Law 88 filing fee, if you're only filing Local Law 88 in 2025 and not filing for Local Law 97 in 2025, or if you are filing both, paying for your Local Law 97 fee, which also in 2025 covers your Local Law 88 filing fee. Once that is complete, you navigate to BEAM, Help Desk, New Ticket, and now we're going on to Ticket 12, which is Local Law 88 submetering Article 311. You complete with the same information that is required, and again, we're repeating this because we've gotten a ton of questions about this. If you're filing Local Law 97 in 2025 and Local Law 88 in 2025, the payment confirmation number that you received in DOB now for your Local Law 97 filing report can be used as the payment confirmation number when filing Local Law 88 tickets in BEAM. However, if you are not filing Local Law 97 compliance in 2025 because, say, you are on a delayed compliance pathway, but you must comply with Local Law 88 in 2025, you are required to pay a separate Local Law 88 filing fee and use that payment confirmation number in the tickets within BEAM. So again, this is the top of the ticket. It lists the different items that you need to be able to comply. It looks very similar to Ticket 11 for Article 310, except there are two additional items, which is the list of covered spaces and a sample monthly statement. And we'll describe these a little bit more in detail in the following slides. So again, same thing, submitter email, address as in BIS, the borough block lot, 10-digit number with no spaces nor dashes, and then the 7-digit building identification number as found on the CBL. The main difference between Article 310 Ticket 11 and Article 311 Ticket 12 is whether or not, or is the additional information about the covered tenant spaces and the monthly reports. We've gotten questions about, is there a special format for this? Is there already a preset form? And no, we just basically need a list of all of the covered tenant spaces in your covered building and a sample monthly utility statement that those covered tenant spaces would be receiving when they're submetered. Like Article 310, One of three professionals needs to file this attestation, either a registered design professional, which is a New York State registered or licensed professional engineer, a registered architect, a licensed master electrician, or a licensed special electrician. Again, you can see the links here to be able to validate those professionals' credentials. And within the ticket itself, you need to input their license number and then upload the form. And again, it's the same form for filing both Article 310 and 311. However, you might have different professionals attesting to each article. So that is why we require that the form be uploaded twice. If it's the same professional, you just have to make sure that you click the check mark next to which article you're attesting for, whether you're attesting to the lighting portion for Article 310, or if you're filing this ticket, you'd click Article 311 because you're attesting to the submetering. Make sure you have your information of the building owner, and the signature and the credentials and sign and seal of your the professional as well. Again, you need to input your DOB Now confirmation number in here, and you get your DOB Now confirmation number once your payment for your filing fee is confirmed within DOB Now. And again, if this, for example, this number is if you're only filing for Local Law 88 in 2025 and not filing for Local Law 97 in 2025. If you are filing for both Local Law 88 and Local Law 97 in 2025, this payment confirmation number will start with a different set of numbers, not Local Law or LL88. That'll be a different set of numbers. So remember, if you're filing for both Local Law 97 and Local Law 88 in 2025, the filing fee that you pay for Local Law 97, that payment confirmation number can be used in this ticket and the ticket for Article 310 lighting as the payment confirmation number. Then you hit Submit Ticket. So now my colleague Martin and I are going to be going through some frequently asked questions that we've received or that the Department of Building has received about Article 310 and Article 311. First, I'm going to start. What are the penalties for noncompliance? If you're talking about lighting upgrade violations, it's a $1,500 annual fee until compliance is met. And for submetering, it's a $1,500 annual fee for not filing, plus a $500 fee for each tenant space without a submeter until compliance is met.
Okay, thanks, Emily. The next FAQ here, can I just pay the penalty instead of filing a Local Law 88 compliance report? Local Law 88 penalties will be issued on an annual basis until compliance is demonstrated. Local Law 97 good faith effort pathways require compliance with Local Law 88.
All right. Can owners file extensions for the Local Law 88 May 1st submission deadline? Local Law 88 reports are due May 1st, 2025. Buildings that are also submitting a Local Law 97 report in 2025, the Local Law 88 report may be submitted with the Local Law 97 report. They're separate tickets within BEAM, but that filing fee covers for both. Buildings that are not submitting a Local Law 97 report in 2025 may not file an extension. So that is, if you're filing only for Local Law 88, you can file starting May 1st, get the the grace period through June 30th, 2025, but there are no extensions available for Local Law 88 if you're filing for only Local Law 88 in 2025. So for an example, if a building receives an extension to file a Local Law 97 report, Department of Buildings will not penalize a building for failure to submit a Local Law 88 report until the new deadline of the Local Law 97 report. If the Local Law 88 report is not submitted by the extension deadline for the Local Law 97 report, the DOB team will deem that as a failure to file and issue a $3,500 plus penalty, which is $1,500 failure to file lighting upgrades, $1,500 failure to file submetering requirements, and $500 for each submeter not installed in a covered tenant space.
The Local Law 88 covered building is residential with no covered tenant spaces. What is required in the Article 311 submetering report to comply with Local Law 88? So for this scenario, for buildings with no covered tenant spaces, the following is required. Attestation of compliance certifying that there are no covered tenant spaces in a building by the registered design professional, licensed master electrician or special electrician or licensed special electrician will be provided. It's just an attestation of compliance that there are no covered tenant spaces.
Are residential buildings required to comply with Local Law 88? Yes, residential buildings are subject to Local Law 88 as long as the buildings meet the definition of a covered building under the law, with a few exceptions. Now, for the upgrades of lighting systems, dwelling units within a multifamily building are exempt from this system or from this requirement, but common spaces like hallways, lobbies, that sort of thing must comply. For the submetering requirement, again, dwelling units are exempt, but other areas are not.
Buildings with specialized lighting requirements like museums or healthcare facilities required to comply with Local Law 88. Covered buildings with specialized lighting requirements such as museums must comply with Local Law 88 lighting and submetering requirements. The New York City Energy Conservation Code does not require certain lighting systems to be included in calculating total connected lighting power. Some examples include display lighting for exhibits in galleries, museums. That is in addition to general lighting and controlled by an independent control device, as well as task lighting for medical purposes. That is in addition to general lighting and controlled by an independent control device.
Are all tenant spaces in commercial buildings required to comply with Local Law 88, or just the tenant spaces over 5,000 gross square feet? Covered buildings that contain multiple tenants are required to comply with Local Law 88 requirements. The lighting must be upgraded throughout the entire building, even in tenant spaces less than 5,000 square feet. The submetering requirements only apply to covered tenant spaces. And now I'm going to hand it over back to Emily Hoffman to discuss the webinar schedule.
All right, thank you all. All right, so thank you all for attending today's webinar. We have listed on the screen all of the webinars that we've covered to date. We have 3 more left. Next Tuesday, March 25th, we will cover the Article 320.7 adjustment. The next Friday, I guess a week from tomorrow, March 28th, we will be covering campus reporting. And then the following week on April 1st, we will be covering offsets. Just note that the offsets webinar is hosted by Urban Green Council and not ASHRAE New York. So we will be doing outreach on each of these remaining webinars. As always, thank you all for attending today. We want to make sure that you all please fill out the presentation evaluation link that's in the chat. We want to remind you that this was recorded and will be available after the webinar. We'll email and post these, both the slides and the video recording, to the DOB website and the ASHRAE website. Just note that the webinar will remain active and open for a few more minutes, so you have time to access the evaluation link and you can ask any other questions. And just a reminder that we are in the process of compiling all of these questions that we're receiving during each of these webinars, and we'll be posting FAQs on these questions on our website. So bear with us through the next week or two while we get through all of these questions you all are asking and work through those responses to get them posted. And then lastly, you see on the screen now, if you have questions or inquiries about how to submit tickets or anything related to that, please contact beam_local97 at buildings.nyc.gov. I want to thank you all for joining today and thank my colleagues, Martin and Emily, for the presentation. And we will see you next week. Thank you.